Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, I'll be covering a little bit more of some Xbox E3 news. So, a day after all the big announcements at the Microsoft press conference for E3, they hosted another episode of the Inside Xbox stream where they said they'd have a lot more to discuss, including updates on the Xbox One backwards compatibility program and some more Halo Infinite news. Well, I must say, that stream was overall kind of disappointing. Lots of bad news came out of it. So, where to start? Well, I guess there's no need to sugarcoat anything, so we'll just rip the band-aid right off and start with the bad news. Particularly the announcement of the end of backwards compatibility for the Xbox One. So for those who aren't familiar with it by now, the backwards compatibility program was the initiative from Microsoft to enable the ability to play Xbox 360 and original Xbox games on the Xbox One. It was a huge thing at the time. When first announced, the crowd literally went wild, and since then they've added a lot of great games to the backwards compatibility program, including all the Xbox 360 Halo games, for example. I, for one, am extremely grateful at the team's hard work at bringing such a crucial feature to the Xbox One and adding so many great games already, not to mention enhancing some of them for the Xbox One X as well. It truly was a great program, but unfortunately, that all comes to an end with the last batch of games they announced during the stream. There were some pretty good games in the last batch, but also a few disappointing ones. You'd think that if they were going to end the program, they'd go out with a bang and tackle the remaining top requests, such as Halo, for example, or my personal favorites, Mech Assault, and Destroy All Human. But to this day, even though every 360 Halo game has been made backwards compatible, neither of the OG Xbox games were added to it. Not Halo CE, not Halo 2. Now, I understand Microsoft is limited with what they can make backwards compatible because of licensing issues. You know, some old games may use licensed music where that license has since expired and they legally can't redistribute those games, or perhaps the original publisher or developer no longer exists and therefore the license for that third-party game basically is stuck in limbo, and there's nothing they can really do about it. However, that really shouldn't apply to some other games like Halo CE or Halo 2, since the Halo IP is totally owned and published by Microsoft, and they clearly have the rights to redistribute the classic versions of Halo CE and 2 on MCC. But Halo aside, a lot of other top requests never made it to backwards compatibility. Like I said, my personal top requests would have been Mech Assault 1 and 2, as well as Destroy All Humans 2, which, they're doing a remaster of Destroy All Humans, but the second one is still not backwards compatible, but the first one is. But anyways, for Mech Assault 1 and 2, for example, they're also both first-party Microsoft games, and I'm sure, fans of other games out there have their own top requests that never made it in either. Because, only a handful of, OG Xbox games actually made it to the backwards compatible list. But unfortunately now it seems those will never be made backwards compatible on the Xbox One at all. Now, there is a silver lining here, though. As it turns out, in a tweet from Jason Ronald, who works on the Xbox team, he said that the backwards compatibility team isn't going away or stopping. They're just going dark for a while to focus on Xbox Scarlett, which is the next generation Xbox due to release next year, along with Halo Infinite. However, I'm not getting my hopes up that much. You see, during the announcement about the end of backwards compatibility on Xbox One, the team said that their mission was basically changing to making sure everything that we can play on Xbox One now will also be playable on Xbox Scarlett. So of course that means full backwards compatibility on Scarlett with Xbox One games, and by extension all the current Xbox 360 and original Xbox games supported by the Xbox One. But the key word there is currently available. I don't really interpret that as in the future after Scarlett comes out they'll resume the backwards compatibility program on Scarlett, but rather they're just focusing on getting the current library of games that work on Xbox One working on Scarlett. Now, in response to a tweet asking basically the same thing that we're discussing right now, Jason Ronald did basically say that it's still possible, and I quote possible, that after Scarlett comes out, they might go back to adding more 360 and OG Xbox games to the backwards compatibility list, whether it's for Xbox One or Xbox Scarlett exclusively. But even that second tweet is actually further confirmation that the backwards compatibility program as we know it is over. You see, the fact that he has to discuss future backwards compatible games as a possibility means that at the moment the program is really over and there are currently no plans to go back to it. So it's essentially dead, at least for like new 360 and OG Xbox games. And so far Microsoft has no plans to add any more new games to it. Now, the reason I'm extremely disappointed by this news is that backwards compatibility represents a way of preserving some great classics from an era that's now long gone. I'm mostly referring to OG Xbox games because it's those games that are in greater need of preservation than Xbox 360 games. That's not to say that Xbox 360 games are not important and need preservation. It's just that they're a lot more recent, and a large number of 360 games are already backwards compatible, almost the majority really. Over 600, I believe, was the last figure they gave. But the original Xbox is pretty much considered dying hardware right now. Many systems are failing from a major flaw in the design of most models of the OG Xbox, where the clock capacitor inside would actually start leaking after a certain amount of time, and that leakage would basically ruin the motherboard. The power supply can also fail too, as well as disk drives and numerous other issues. What this means is that the OG Xbox is in short supply, and it will become increasingly harder to play OG Xbox games that never made it to backwards compatibility on the Xbox 360 or the Xbox One. So, if you want to keep playing OG Xbox games in the future, you better stock up on some spare original Xbox Ones now and pretty much keep them in cryostasis, just in case your current one fails. Now, you may be asking why some games like Halo CE or 2 even need to be made backwards compatible when they've already been remastered on the Xbox One in the form of games like Halo MCC. Well, in a lot of cases, the remasters don't always include everything from the OG versions, or they may have some flaws in them that change the experience a lot. Using Halo as an example, Halo CE on MCC is missing all the classic sound effects, for starters, and there are also many graphical differences and missing effects that were in the OG version that are missing on MCC. Not to mention a lot of bugs that still remain on MCC. But, 343 is proactively fixing those bugs, but a lot still remain that weren't there in the OG version. That's already enough to warrant the preservation of the OG Xbox versions of Halo, including the OG and very nostalgic main menus. Those are not on MCC. So there's a lot of reasons to preserve all these OG games. And it's not just Halo, there's a lot of games out there that were really great classics back in the day that definitely deserve to be preserved. Now, that's basically why I feel it's important to keep up this initiative of preserving more OG Xbox games by making them backwards compatible. That's pretty much the only way to preserve them at this point. Short of Microsoft releasing like some mini original Xbox, kind of like the NES classics or PlayStation classics. But I'm sure there are still some 360 games left over that also fall into this category as well that need to be preserved. But before we move on to the next topic, I do want to express one more time my appreciation and gratitude for the whole existence of the backwards compatibility program in general, and for all the hard work from the team to add so many great games to the backwards compatibility program. I'm very sad that it's over now, very disappointed and pretty much heartbroken, but I do sincerely hope that one day they'll go back and add the remainder of the top requests to the program, whether it's on Xbox One or Xbox Scarlett exclusively. I won't really be thrilled about it being Xbox Scarlett exclusive, but I'm pretty much going to get Xbox Scarlett day one, and if that's how it's got to be, then so be it. If that's what it takes to have more games added eventually, then it's whatever needs to be done. But I just hope that one day they'll still add more games to the backwards compatibility program. So, moving on from the unfortunate backwards compatibility news, We were also promised more talk about Halo Infinite during the Inside Xbox stream. Well, they did indeed talk about it, but it's not what anyone was really hoping for or expecting. For starters, the whole stream lasted almost 2 hours, and they waited until the very end to give us the Halo Infinite news. I guess you could say they were saving the best for last, but people were waiting for quite a while. And in the end, most of it just turned out to be a recap of the Halo Infinite trailer showed during the previous day's E3 press conference. But what they did confirm is that the pilot of the Pelican who rescued Master Chief is definitely going to be a very important character in Halo Infinite's story, and there will definitely be more to his story going forward. So essentially, he'll be a very crucial character in that story, possibly on the same level as someone like Sergeant Johnson in the later classic Halo games. But beyond that, nothing else was really revealed about the pilot or his backstory. The last important piece of Halo Infinite news that was discussed is that Master Chief will definitely be the main focus of the story in Halo Infinite. Now, you may be thinking, that's a no-brainer. It's a main Halo game. It's obviously going to be about Master Chief. However, if you remember in Halo 5, the main focus of the story was on a lot more of Spartan Locke, rather than Master Chief. Sure, you had a few missions with Master Chief where you play as him too, but the majority of the missions were Spartan Locke focused, and you really didn't get much Chief gameplay or scenes in Halo 5 by comparison. So, this little bit of Halo Infinite news is reassuring us that, that won't be the case again in Halo Infinite. So that's a bit of good news right there, actually. Unfortunately, that's really the only new information we got about Halo Infinite during the Inside Xbox stream. The rest really was just a recap of the trailer, as well as a little bit about 343's vision when they were making the trailer. But that's about it. Waiting 2 hours just for that 5 minutes of information, really. Alrighty, so as we come to an end on this video, I want to end it on a good note with one more really cool Halo-related announcement from E3. There were definitely a lot more announcements and cool things in the Inside Xbox stream, like changes to gamer tags and some more xCloud details, but the topics covered in this video were the ones I really wanted to focus on for this particular video. So the last bit of Halo news coming off E3, and probably the last bit we'll have again for a while, is that Sea of Thieves is getting some amazing Halo content in the form of a Halo-themed ship set. It's basically a giant ship with UNSC sails, Spartan armor-colored hull, and a Master Chief or some Spartan statue on the front of it. And best of all, it's free too, but only if you log on to Sea of Thieves between June 10th and June 15th. So if you have Sea of Thieves and are also a Halo fan, definitely log on soon and claim your free Halo ship. It's really cool, it's really nice, and it's probably like the best piece of Halo news during the stream, really. Now, I'm not sure what happens after June 15th. It might be a paid DLC or microtransaction of sorts, so best to play it safe and claim it as soon as possible, within the free period. Well, that about wraps up this video. Once again, I am very grateful for the backwards compatibility team over at Xbox Game Studios, and it really does make me sad that it's coming to an end. But I do really hope that one day they'll come back and add more games to the backwards compatible list, for future consoles maybe, or something like that. And as for the Halo Infinite news, I know it wasn't really much, and I'm sure most people during the stream who waited 2 hours for the news were really hoping for more. But unfortunately, that's all we'll probably get for a while regarding Halo Infinite. Probably until like later this year, or maybe next year's E3. But anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, as always, make sure to leave a like. And feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. Definitely like to hear your thoughts and opinions on all this news, as well as E3 in general, what you thought of it so far. And of course, if you'd like to see me do more of these kinds of videos, also feel free to let me know. But other than that, if you haven't already, do make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye guys!